Okay. Wellness Wednesday. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour with positive, productive, and proactive dialogue just for an hour. Nistu Nidaniko Makoyo Sakoi. I'm Scapi Pikani. Nistu, I'm Scapi Pikani. I'm coming to you live from my mother's bedroom. and so welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. We are here every Wednesday to bring dialogue around the teachings of our ancestors. So welcome. And I left, I was in a conversation in the living room here by the kitchen. You know, the best conversations happen in Indian homes is around the kitchen table or in the living room with Dr. Roz Lapierre and my mom. Were getting ready to go to a historical ribbon cutting in Heart Butte, Montana. Our congratulations to our Blackfeet Nation, and thank you, our Blackfeet Tribal Business Council. They have, over the last few years, built a brand new arbor in Heart Butte, Montana. It's like you don't know how beautiful that is when you're just on a real res, and you know, and your arbor is like old pieces of wood that you put some new nails in and slap some paint on, and you're just happy with that because you've been dancing grand entry and doing Heart Butte, celebration, Heart Butte powwow for, I don't know, 61 years or something like that. So thank you. We're inviting you, come dance with us. The ribbon cutting is at 3 Mountain Standard Time. But I just today's subject is about healing on all the anniversaries. Like Heart Butte celebration is, no matter what's going on our reservation, we know it's old time celebration. Even down to the point where, some years they'd give rations to everybody. Even if you had, a white wall tent, or you had a lodge, or, whatever. I don't think they gave it to those sleeping in the car. there's some Indians, man, that just pull up, sleep in their car, pull out their outfit, and you see them getting ready. Putting their feathers in, putting their beadwork in my straight, and then they just go out there, win first place. It's that time of year where, everybody else might be going crazy in the world, but no, the Indians are just dancing and singing and celebrate, including me. I just, I was just this morning. So anniversaries. Think about, your annual powwow, your anniversaries of veterans. We have like a big veterans powwow. Your anniversaries of, and there's also the anniversaries, and I just have to, one that's it's not heavy on my heart, it's good in my heart, is death anniversaries. Anniversaries of your parents, anniversaries of your grandparents. And my love goes out to you from Native Wellness Institute if you have a death of a child. If you've lost a child. Because boy, that one hurts. That one really hurts. They all hurt. And that's, why do our spirit, why is our mind, our body, and our spirit, it knows when these anniversaries come. And last night, it's been 23 years since my dad crossed over the Milky Way. And, we had we had the funeral and 4 memorials, and Dad, he really loved chicken dancing. He just loved chicken dancing. So for 4 years straight at the Heartbeat celebration, to honor him and to his legacy, now I realize it was for us to heal. It was for us to continue our healing. We'd have a chicken dance special. And so 2000, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have to kind of get the numbers. It's like, when it's over 20 years, we had a chicken dance special. So what, think about this healing as of our anniversaries. Even you might remember anniversaries of your exes. Knock that shit off. You don't have to remember they're gone. You ripped the blanket in half. You don't have to remember their birth. No, I'm just kidding. But you might remember certain anniversaries of your own, anniversaries of when you got your PhD, or when you got your GED, or when you got divorced. You're just like, party, woohoo. Not, you didn't have that ball and chain anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Just Auntie. So let's talk about why our bodies, our spirits, and our soul remembers anniversaries. Because I've always noticed, and that's why a lot of intentionally doing a lot of soul searching and going to ceremonies and cleansing and doing all that in the month of July, because I know that August 6th is coming up. So if you have an anniversary, and it might be in February, February, I always remember my father's birthday, February 10th. And then I always remember the wedding anniversary of my parents, because 9 months later they had me. 55, 56, and then so, but why does our body remember? And it remembers all the love. First of all, it remembers all the roller coaster of, the teachings, because, when you're an infant and your parents are holding you and caressing you, and Mom breastfed me till I could, run outside, but Dad was all, I remember right when I was born, there's a photo, and I'm not, it's one of the Blackmans, because we share a grandfather in common, but their last name is Blackman, and he was with my dad, and they were holding me, and I had just come home from the hospital, and I remember the look on his face as he was looking down, of pure love. And so I use that in today, because I think, we look up to Ishtabatapi, we look up to, God, we look up to, for those of you in recovery, whatever your higher power is, or, I love how Northern Cheyenne call it Mahio. I love how Apsalaga call it Aparadia. It's my dialect, eh? And how many have names, Tunkashala, that they look up, and that was that. So when I looked up last night, and of course it was dark, just stars, and I was lighting my evening smudge, and my dad's mom is named Atstanikiwa. So I always write in my bedroom smudge, and then I have an area in my living room where I smoke my personal pipes, and when others come, and we just have our own little ceremonies there. But I was looking down, and so that picture where my dad is looking at me with love last night, I just remembered it because that's how he's looking at me now on earth. I'm still on earth. Sakum, I'm still here. And that's how he is protecting me and loving me. And I have to ask him, no gakimoket, no gaspomoket, pity me, help me, Dad. I'm always, talking. I always talk to my dad. And that's, so then that, my body knows, like last night when I was saying the prayer, and even now, my body knows, because we still have grief, we still have the emotions, and I'm trying to be just transparent and not hide it. Never hide your love, or never hide your emotions. You can have boundaries, and you can compartmentalize, and you can do that consciously, but try to just let the healing tears flow, because I'm just sharing it with you. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We're always here. We try to. So I want you to think about in your own life, doing prep for these anniversaries, and the celebratory ones, too. I was just thinking about my niece and nephew out in Bab. It was their 2-year marriage anniversary. Okay, so there's and I was just saying, oh my gosh, look how much in 2 years, 2 years from that marriage, and it was at the ceremony, and I knew them before, and all the the hoopla and the getting ready. I remember in Bab, a lot. They even like built a arch and a dance floor and all of this celebration, and having some of our elders marry them, Charlene and Bob Burns. It was, so I just look at that celebration of our whole community coming together and wishing them well and wishing that all things went good. And then just seeing where they are 2 years from now, and I look at, man, they're just in 2 years, because somehow they just decided to be Blackfoot, real Nasitapi, and got, transferred into Exkanax, Horn Society, and but it's much more than that. I saw them work things out, even when they didn't agree. They worked it out. Their love worked it out. And even when there were challenges, their love worked it out. And so I'm just like giving that as an example. It might be an anniversary of marriage, and if you've made a vow, and you made that in front of Ishtapatapi, a vow to and the older folks, we say it, till death do we part. Younger ones, it's not as not as stringent, because now we're with Generation X, or millennials, or anyone. I'd say anyone under 50, they really, if things don't work out, you might be the anniversary of a divorce, or the separation. It might be, and I was sometimes there's such beauty in the world. I was just thinking of anniversaries when you did split, but you made a vow to co-parent. I mean, when you make a vow to co-parent, you aren't together anymore, but you make it because of the love for the child, and the love of still, not like in, I think sometimes it was trauma response. If we come from trauma, and if we divorce them, we never let them see that kid again. We never, for a female, we just don't let them see that kid. We keep it from them unless they pay alimony. I was just like, Sheesh, how many Indians can you raise your hand if you can pay alimony? Eh? raise your hand if you pay alimony. Because I'll have to ask around. I don't know if any of my relatives are paying alimony. They just wham bam, thank you, ma'am, make a kid and bye. No. I just but anniversaries, it's just, these I'm just sharing with you. And it's just the humor, because when we're healing and we're doing our deepest, gosh, there's levels. They say it's like peeling an onion. You peel off one and there's another level of healing, another level of healing. And I feel that at this moment, the anniversary of the death of my father. I feel it at this moment, just sharing that with you. And I encourage you to feel your anniversaries, not to skip over them, not to just let them float by without acknowledgement of the feelings that you have for that love, or that it could have been a woulda, coulda, shoulda. That feeling of, and so so let's just kind of walk through that for a minute. Is when we have like going, that's why we're gonna head out here in a little bit towards Heart Butte. And knowing these two, their independence, we'll probably all drive our own vehicles. So when you go with old ladies, and we're not just old ladies, we're independent old ladies. The old ladies always like to drive their car, or they have a driver. You'll be like Stephen Barrios going down to Florida right now. The Seminole tribe is giving the Montana Two-Spirit Society a big gift of some money, and so he's good. But so he has someone who travels with him, But when you're with let them be independent, because we might all drive our 3 vehicles. So, because I think I said, I might hang around. I'm gonna go after, and I want to go over by my dad's grave and put some tobacco down, and just have a visit there with Dad, and then of course Roz has her schedule. She's at the University of Chicago now, and then we were just catching up with some. We're always talking about research because she's academic, but we're always talking about just funny things. She said, "Yeah, I just had to cruise around Browning. I just had to cruise around Browning and see the progress of the new construction and take a look at things." And she said, "What's funny? When you cruise around Browning, or you cruise anywhere, and they haven't seen you in a while, they'll go, 'Who's in that car? Whose car? Who is that?' And if they can see, oh, okay, they must be visiting." But it's just like, when we're on the reservation, if there's we know everybody's car, kind of know all their business because we see where their car goes. So watch out. People are watching you. Yeah. Watch out. They're watching you. And so anyway, she was just saying, yeah, I was cruising around and people were looking like, who's that? Eh? And anyway, she cruised over here and we're all getting ready. But that's the reason we have to take better care of us, especially around those anniversaries. And I'll just, and this is kind of like a warning. If you're not paying attention to the anniversary will pay attention to you. And I can see it, then when, because of extra cautious, be around those times, extra loving self-care, doing things that cleanse you, like, sleeping good, eating good, being around people that know you, and being around people that know the one that passed. I think Sister Lori she's meeting one of her best friends from Ontario, and that best friend knew our dad. Our best friend was around him when he was dying of his lung cancer, and so they're just meeting because she's doing some of her business, and then she heads back down to Ontario. So that's kind of our world today, huh? Oh, I'll meet you for lunch in Lethbridge, eh? But it's that self-care of your emotions, and so these past couple of days I just been making sure that I was around a lot of people that care and cherish and respect me. So yesterday were, a shout out to Margaret Ann Yellow Kidney, a shout out to the moms, the maternal obstetricians and in Montana who are all meeting. I just want to give them a woohoo. I met with them, and this is like, it's an honor. It's an honor. When Margaret Ann, who's been my Sundance sister for years, just texts me and she said, "Hey, I got this group coming to town. Can you say a prayer? Can you come and say a prayer for us?" And when you get those kind of requests, say yes. Say yes the best you can. But it's also an honor when that group, they say, "Well, who do we respect in Browning, Montana?" And they're all women. We did have one man, a doctor, come. Dr. Drew came, but we did have all of these women, and they asked me to come and pray, and they gave me the floor for a significant amount of time before they went back into their agenda, and they just wanted to know. And so I know in Blackfoot Confederacy, what are some of the gems, or what are some of the take-backs of maternal and child health care. So I brought a picture of my two grandmas, and it's a large 4x4. It's a photo that was taken of them when Agnes Ironpipe got her teeth, and she had gotten some false teeth, and she was sitting with my grandma in her living room on their bed, because she had her one room kind of on her bed, and I brought it, and I said, this is my backdrop PowerPoint, my grandparents, because the prayer that I was sharing with them is that we got to ask our ancestors for help. And since Grandma was the midwife here at Hart Butte, delivered most of the babies on the south side till 1955, and then that was when our women were supposed to take their self to the IHS hospital and have their babies. And so with this group yesterday, I sat and listened to their stories until noon. And then that was, I'm not gonna, there's 53 of them, and they have a bunch of facilitators and a bunch of outside presenters. And I thought that's good enough, because I knew my dad's death anniversary was coming up, and I got to take care of myself. And that is, when you're working and you're facilitating, so remember this: when your elders are trying to help you, you only use them for a while, not all the time. Don't be just do this, do that, like an elder's ATM machine. But also respect, when they say, "Oh, I can only stay till noon," and which I did, because I wanted to come, and Mom and I had some plans, and we're making all these plans, because there's opportunity next week where all of us are gonna braid sweetgrass at Hidden Lake, and then and then we're making our plans to pick berries, because the berries are abundant with all of the rain. And then we're making all of our plans, and so this is my funny, I have to share with you, is because I had been up, I had just high energy. I woke up at 3 And so when I came to see how my mom was doing, and she had some plans, we were gonna maybe go with my sister out to one of their favorite places to go eat. And I said, Mom, dang, I've been up since 3 a.m. Do you mind if I take a nap? Sorry. So, and Mom goes, I need a nap because I want to enjoy the evening. So this is the kind of self-care I'm just sharing with you, and being transparent with my family. So we both took a nap, and then she got up and went on to her doings, and then I went on and could carry on with the rest of my evening. So that when those anniversaries are coming up like that, do the preparation that is best for you. Do the preparation, and I know this is a toughie for some women and some of our two-spirit and some men. There's a lot of preparation. I was just thinking, we're going out and we don't know what the venue is. Like, are they going to have chairs? So we always bring our own chairs. They might have a little bit of food. They might not bring extra food. But do the preparation with your emotions. This is like the emotional IQ preparation. If it's like, this week I just been extra gentle, making sure that I guess I even made like my favorite soup, which ended up just being some buffalo hamburger and some kidney beans, some wild rice, all vegetables, and that I was eating spirit food. I don't know what else that was really good. Not eating a drive-through, or even just that it was made with that your food is made with prayer, that your food is made with ceremony, that you make the spirit plate, and sometimes when you're doing that anniversary, even if you lost a parent or whoever else, make their favorite dish, make what they like to eat, and smudge it and put it out so you can feed them. And it's interesting, that's a lot of times all they want is the acknowledgement and to be fed. That's just like, even that one berry, that one Saskatoon Sabbath berry, that one berry that, whenever you see the first ripe berry, you're supposed to pick it and pray for the Kyayo, the Boxikwe, the bears, pray for your family, pray for the treaty between bears and us, and the treaty between the animals and us, and then that things go good, that they eat enough before hibernation, that there's enough food for the people. I mean, there's many things attached to it. And then you take that berry and you dig a little hole in the dirt and you bury it, so that the earth holds that prayer. Sakum holds that prayer. And that's why all our ceremonies, that's why we pray with one berry. and then after that you can gobble it. I was laughing at myself even this morning. I go out and do my prayers, but I was looking at the bushes and I had to grab next thing. Sometimes you might just go out, next thing you pick berries, but if there's so many berries, you just, and then when your fingers are a color that, and so that emotional IQ, that emotion is not to have boundaries, go to some extra meetings if it's 12-step, go in person, go online, listen to motivational podcasts or talks that replenish you. You can go to YouTube and type in Native Wellness Institute, and you can see all of the power hours that we did on loss and grief, that we did on healthy sexuality, that we did on yoga, that we did on butchering and cutting meat and packing. I mean, we did so many power hours, but lift up what lifts up your emotions. And so maybe we could talk about that for a minute. What's going to give you words of encouragement and make you feel okay? And then, besides like a TikTok. But if that does, do that. But that's like kind of like a dopamine drip, a numbing. But you might want to read a book. Back to old-fashioned reading. I see the way, I can look over here. My mother has a whole, and some are hardbacks. She's rereading some old books. She has her favorite authors. And I can see that her mental health are these books. And so your emotional IQ, take extra time to check in with yourself. And they always say, HALT, HALT. Don't be hungry, don't be angry, don't be lonely, and don't be tired. Because if you're all four of those things, that's when you might do something in reacting rather than response. That's when you might say words that you wish you could take back. You ever say some words like you go, oops, I should have said that. Then if that happens, apologize. One of the soothing, healing things, apologize immediately. Apologize quickly. And that the soothing of forgiveness, when you apologize and they accept that apology, you get to start new. You get to start over again. Couldn't you see it? I apologize for stealing all your land in the United States. Now we're going to give it back. Thank you. We accept your apology. Land back. Land back. We'll give land back. Hello. Hi there. I dropped everything on the floor. I was so excited about having land back. I was dropped everything on the floor, but here we are coming back. But think about that that emotional IQ. I mean, I was so excited. This is funny. It went boop and everything went up in all the stand and everything. But I wanna share. When I was coming today, I was saying my prayers, and I went. This is part of the self-care. Is I live on a lake, and I promised myself that I would get in and cleanse with the water. And if you don't live on a lake, cleanse with the shower. Cleanse with taking a bath, and I always, Edward and Muffet, little dog, and it was Muffet, she used to sing this one calling song, and the four directions, starting in the east. And I had a dream about that song. So when you dream a song, I can always sing it. And that isn't true about other songs. But I always go into the lake. And so this is the way. And I want to give a shout out to Wanda Batchelor, because she's always been a really good sounding board. And we were talking about the healing powers of water and how we use water. And she was saying this to me. She said, just to go out, to visualize it, or to actually do it, start in the east and sing the song, and then just totally plunge into the water. So that's what I just did this morning, before coming into town here. And then, turn to the other four directions. And after each time, after you say your prayers, because I always, have to start with thanking that there's good, clean water. Praying for the water, thinking that there's good clean air, thinking that there's still glaciers that are going to drip down, and then thanking all the animals. And this morning, because I have oh, I have so many loons. The abundance of rain has brought back frogs. I have more than 30 loons, and it seems like the loons were just sitting there on the shore listening to this prayer, So I thank, all the water animals. The last night I had the beavers. The beavers go swimming by early morning, sometimes 7 a.m. And then in the evening, anywhere between like 7 and 9 p.m., they go swimming by. So I pray to the beavers. I pray to, and then, the asking, sometimes it's instead of asking for stuff all the time, like, help me, I'm so messed up, help. Instead of asking, pray in gratitude. So I just started praying, thankfulness for my siblings, thankfulness for my coworkers, thankfulness for Native Wellness Institute over the last, since the 80s and 25 years, what they have given us. Thankfulness for my mother still being alive, my mother's still driving and being healthy, and then each time plunging into the water, and each time I like stay underneath the water and make sure that the water goes on the tip of my head. It's almost like how we are in the sweat, or and I just saying those prayers, and then I just sat still and let the water be around my whole body, with my head sticking out. And then I just observed, this is maybe, and I was just laughing to myself because I thought maybe this is how a fish is when they peek up. Oh, they peek out of the water and look around at us and say, "Dang, those humans are nuts. They're crazy." But I was just like peeking around and seeing how mellow and how smooth. And I was just peeking around in the water and looking up at the clouds and peeking at eye level and looking out. The loons are still on the shore, looking at all of the driftwood. And then the water's so crystal clear, you can see all the way down to your toes, clear like a looking glass. It's just clear. And then I just started going into saying, pray for gratitude. And pray for, thank your heart for beating all this time. Thank your kidneys for processing all this time. Thank your liver. Thank your GI, your guts, your gut health. Thanks your gut health for taking all that food you've been putting in it and making poop. I always think about Gene. Everybody poops. Thank that it goes through and you poop and you get rid of all that and you get all that nourishment. Pray for all the gratitude. And this is, I'm going to ask you and encourage you, pray for the gratitude if you've been gifted a hard challenge in life. It's, I was thinking about close people to me who have survived breast cancer and come out the other side. That's a bump in the road. I was thinking about just now, we had one of our young relatives, only 43, die of a heart attack. That's a bump in the road. Any of those kind of challenges, at the micro, macro level, like, in the United States, we have a big challenge. And I don't want to, so your emotional IQ is this, can you change that? I seen some sisters yesterday going to the council meeting, and I see, people prepping for, how we're going to vote, how we're going to protect what we have, how our water compact, how our ceremonies, and and that's why we need our ceremonies. That's why, it's believing and having the faith in our ceremonies that they're going to take care of us. Because look at all here, in all tribes, look how long in your language, in your ceremonies have kept you going, have kept you good, have kept, and so I would say in that emotional IQ, whenever you're going down the lane of worry or you're going down a lane where it doesn't feel as good, switch to gratitude. Switch around. Does that make sense? And does that make sense? That makes so much sense to me now. And so these anniversaries, I was just acknowledge them. And so I'm gonna sign off in a little bit because here's one of my good friends, Dr. Roz Lapierre, and we're good friends because her grandma and my grandma were best friends. And then now it's interesting, no matter what's going on, we support each other in our lives and that's that kinship. So maybe in our last part here is think about the kinship, and it could be your blood relatives, but your kinship, your cousins that think like you do, your aunties and uncles that think like you do, your powwow buddies that you dance with that think like you do, or it might be your coworkers. I mean, I was just being so grateful for Jean Tagabon. Jean and I working together for over 30 years plus, or I was just being thankful for my coworker. I was being thankful for Levina Louie, and just thinking how Levina and I have come through so many things way back when, and up to now. And then I was, thinking about Thosh and Chelsea and Thosh, how much knowing him as a young man and as he grew up and how much he has brought. And then I was thinking about, I just love Jillian Joseph and I love her children, and I was just thinking, oh my God, look at Shailene just grew up, and that's one of the gratitude things is you have been privileged when you see someone as a young toddler or a child or a teenager, and then you get to be part of their evolution of spiritual maturity, and so I just in that, giving the gratitude. So that was kind of some of my day, Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. We're here, and it's always positive, productive, and proactive dialogue so that we feel, I hope you felt some kind of inspiration about celebrating your anniversaries or about taking care of yourself. And then as we're, there's so many things that I want to share with you. And always we only get this hour, we only get this amount of time. So I want to invite you again in Montana. We're having the 29th annual Two Spirit Gathering, and it's quite the crew. And I just want to, I want to invite you because I was thinking about Raven Heavy Runner, Steve Barrios. I was just thinking about all of those who were the trailblazers that put this healing together. Then I want to invite, right now, Native Dads Network is right in the midst of Boys with Braids, and they're going to be doing one in the San Francisco area with Aurora Mamea. I was thinking about White Bison and all of their trainings, and NAFA, Al Pooley and his crew, and then the American Indian Cancer Foundation. I was just, again, ally and having dialogue with Coco and their staff, and looking at what are we planning for the fall? What are we planning? And, what are you planning for, the September 22nd is the solstice and the equinox is very pivotal. We're going to shift again from summer to fall, and that part of that anniversary. Think of the equinox and the solstice, what you can do special for yourself, for your family, for those around you. Even if it's just to sit down and have a meal and have your own little talking circle. And I was just one of the things at Native Wellness Institute, we're rebirthing and regrowing and restructuring So we're meeting often. And I was laughing because I go, sheesh, you guys, I meet more often with you guys than with my own family. But that's okay. When you're, sometimes that might, think about if your support group is your coworkers. That's really wellness in the workplace. If your support group is your 12-step program, if your support group is, a sponsor, a therapist, if your work group is just going to healing conferences, just signing up for them, paying the fee if you can, asking for scholarship. And then, I was just I don't know, I'm just feeling really good at this moment because it's my dad's death anniversary, and I'm going to go out to where my dad was born and raised, my grandparents were born and raised, my great grandparents were born and raised, my great greats, my great great, and I'm gonna be in the South Side where they all. Joe Boss used to take the land and grow things. Joseph Bullshoe had one of the best when they tried to make us farmers, but he grew it. He grew all, they'd have, and they didn't have refrigeration and electricity. So they would make little places underneath the house that were cool, where they kept all their vegetables and stuff. They used the land. So I'm feeling really good right now, and I hope you can feel that, and I send it out to you. Anyone who is tuned in for Wellness Wednesday, it's a beautiful day, and what I encourage you to do is just go out and breathe the fresh air. Make your plans to make grand entry, even if you're sleeping in your car. Real res Indians, and just make your plans for today. Take off your shoes, as Gene Tagamon would say, and walk barefoot on the dirt and the land and the grass, and just feel the earth and ask the earth to come up and from the bottom. And that's where you put most of your medicine sometimes, bear grease, and other medicines to absorb up. Absorb the Mother Earth. Allow the Mother Earth to heal you. Even, kick off your shoes and lay on the ground. Let the Mother Earth surround you and heal you. I can feel it. I want to kick off my shoes and go run around here, but some rugged rugged res, right? Not too rugged, a lot of rocks. So with that, we'll sign off. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I hope that some of this gave you some insight about taking care of yourself, about taking care of your family, and sending out, well wishes to everyone, on August 6th, 2025. So until then, we'll see you next week. Kita Matsuno.